If you are over 50 years old and you are still lying on the floor doing sit-ups, crunches, or holding lazy, shaking 2-minute planks to flatten your stomach, you need to stop immediately. You are not building a stronger core. You are systematically grinding away the discs in your lower back, the sharp pain you feel when you bend over to tie your shoes, the stiffness that locks up your spine every morning. That isn't just getting older. That is the direct result of applying 20-year-old fitness advice to a 50-year-old framework. Your body is not broken. It has simply been given the wrong instructions. Centuries ago, long before gyms, modern physical therapy, or padded exercise mats, men fought, marched, and conquered well into their 50s. The Roman Legionary was the most devastating infantrymen in human history. These men marched 20 miles a day carrying 60 pounds of iron, wood, and rations, only to lock into a massive shield wall and endure hours of violent physical impact. If a Roman soldier's lower back gave out, he didn't just miss a workout, he lost his life. They required a core of absolute iron, but they never performed a single sit-up. Instead, they understood a biological mechanism that the modern fitness industry has completely forgotten. Today, I am going to show you exactly how to rebuild an indestructible midsection using a forgotten mechanism I call the Roman plank. It requires zero equipment, takes less than 4 minutes, and will bulletproof your lower back within 30 days. And I've saved a critical neurological trigger for the final minute of this video, a recovery breathing technique that forces your body to clear stress hormones immediately after this movement. Do not skip it, or you'll miss half the benefit. To understand why the Roman plank works, you first need to understand why everything else has failed you. Modern core training treats your spine like a hinge. Crunches, Russian twists, and sit-ups force your lower back to repeatedly bend and twist under pressure. Biomechanics experts compare your spinal discs to jelly donuts. When you constantly bend your spine forward, you are essentially squeezing the front of the donut, forcing the jelly out the back. Over time, this leads to bulging discs, pinched nerves, and chronic debilitating pain. By the time a man reaches 50, his spinal discs have naturally lost some of their hydration and elasticity. Forcing a dehydrated spine into endless bending is a recipe for disaster. Then we have the standard plank. You've seen it. Hips sagging toward the floor, shoulders hunched around the ears, looking at a stopwatch, just praying for 2 minutes to pass. When you hold a plank like this, your core muscles actually turn off after about 30 seconds. What is holding you up? Your skeletal structure. You are hanging entirely on your lower back ligaments and your shoulder joints. It is a posture of survival, not a posture of strength. The Romans didn't train for endurance through passive suffering. They trained to generate maximum force and rigidity on command. A Roman shield wall, the testudo, relied on every single man bracing his entire body to absorb the impact of charging enemies. If one man's core collapsed, the wall broke. They didn't build that rigidity by bending. They built it by resisting movement. Science calls this anti-extension, and it is the single most important physical trait a man over 50 can develop. The Roman plank is not an endurance contest. It is a full-body, high-voltage isometric contraction. We are going to turn your midsection from a soft hinge into a solid block of concrete. Here is the exact protocol. Get down on the floor. Place your forearms on the ground, but don't just rest them there. Drive your elbows directly under your shoulders. Plant the balls of your feet into the floor. Now, lift your hips so your body forms a perfectly straight line from the back of your head down to your heels. If you stop here, you are just doing a standard plank. Here is the switch that changes everything. Step 1. The glute lock. Squeeze your glutes together as if your life depends on it. Most men over 50 suffer from glute amnesia due to decades of sitting at a desk. When your glutes turn off, your lower back is forced to carry your body weight. By locking your glutes first, you instantly tilt your pelvis into a neutral, safe position and take 100% of the pressure off your lumbar spine. Step 2. The core brace. Imagine a heavy medicine ball is about to be dropped directly onto your stomach. What do? You brace. You don't suck your stomach in. That makes you weak. You push your stomach walls outward and flex hard. You are creating an internal pressure shield. Step 3. The friction pull. This is the true Roman secret. Without actually moving your arms or your legs, I want you to pull your elbows down toward your toes and pull your toes up toward your elbows. Drag them through the floor. The moment you do this, your entire midsection will light up like a lightning strike. Your lats will fire, your chest will lock down, your abdominal wall will undergo maximal tension. Your body will likely start shaking violently within 5 seconds. That shaking is not weakness. That shaking is your central nervous system waking up dormant muscle fibers that have been asleep for decades. You are forcing your entire kinetic chain to act as one unified, unbreakable structure. Because this tension is so extreme, the rules of time completely change. Throw your stopwatch away. If you are doing the Roman plank correctly, it is biologically impossible to hold it for 2 minutes. Your central nervous system cannot sustain maximum voluntary contraction for that long. The science of isometric strength dictates that peak force output drops off a cliff after 10 to 15 seconds. So you are going to hold this for exactly 10 seconds. Then you drop to your knees, rest for 20 seconds, then go back up and lock in for another 10 seconds. You will perform 6 rounds of 10 seconds. That is 1 minute of total work. I guarantee you that 1 minute of pure unadulterated tension will build more thick functional core muscle than an hour of crunches, and it will do so while actively protecting your joints. Before we get to the final piece of this puzzle, the recovery protocol that dictates whether this muscle actually grows, I want to hear from the men in the trenches. Drop a comment below and tell me, how many years have you been battling lower back pain, and what is the worst piece of advice a doctor or trainer ever gave you to fix it? This community thrives on shared wisdom, and I read every single response. Take a second, drop your story below, and let's get back to it. You now have the ultimate weapon for core strength, but a weapon is useless if you don't know when to fire it. Men over 50 have a narrower margin for recovery than men in their 20s. Your primary stress hormone, cortisol, stays elevated much longer after an intense physical effort. If you perform the Roman plank every single day, you will overload your central nervous system. Chronically high cortisol strips away testosterone, eats away at muscle tissue, and leaves you feeling drained, irritable, and weak. To maximize the anabolic response, the muscle-building signals, you must deploy this strategically. Perform the Roman plank 3 days a week, never on consecutive days. The ideal time to do this is actually at the very beginning of your workout, immediately after your light warm-up. By doing your 6 sets of 10-second holds before you lift any weights, you prime your central nervous system. You turn on the armor around your spine. When you go to pick up a dumbbell, do a push-up, or carry groceries later that day, your core will automatically fire to protect your back because you just reminded it how to do its job. You are teaching your body a new default setting, rigidity under pressure. Now, for the final element I promised you at the start, the mechanism to control your biology. When you finish your 6 rounds of the Roman plank, your body is in a state of high alert. Your blood pressure is up, and your nervous system thinks you just fought a battle. If you carry that stress into the rest of your day, you trap yourself in a catabolic, muscle-wasting state. You must flip the switch back to recovery immediately. I call this the Legionary reset. As soon as your knees hit the floor after the final set, stay on the ground, place one hand on your chest and one hand on your stomach. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose for 4 seconds, ensuring only the hand on your stomach rises. Hold it for 2 seconds, then exhale slowly through your mouth for 6 seconds as if you are blowing through a straw. Repeat this cycle 5 times. This specific breathing ratio, inhaling shorter than you exhale, is scientifically proven to stimulate the vagus nerve. Within 60 seconds, it shuts down cortisol production, lowers your heart rate, and shifts your body from fight or flight directly into rest and rebuild. You apply the stress, then you instantly remove it. That is how a mature body adapts and grows. The physical decline that most men accept after 50 is a choice, not a life sentence. You do not have to accept a weak back. You do not have to accept the pain. You just have to change the stimulus. Apply the Roman plank this week. Feel the difference in your posture by day 3. If you're walking away with knowledge you didn't have 10 minutes ago, hit the like button and subscribe. And look, share this with one guy you know who's just over the back pain. Your best years aren't locked in the past. It's time to reclaim your prime. I'll see you in the next breakdown.